Joe, thanks very much for your time. What or who is ABB?
Malcolm, I should ask you, okay? I'd say I've been here 3.5 years now, so I think I have a pretty good handle on, what or who is ABB. From a broad perspective, as you know, this is a power and automation company and the largest combination of a power and automation company in the world. On the power side, I think it's interesting for people at Thomas & Betts and externally to understand that in power, what we basically mean is the transmission or distribution of power, that we're broadly not in a power generation business. We did have that component years ago, but we sold that back in the really early 2000s or so. And then when you look at the automation side, there's basically 3 components to our automation piece, which is process automation, which, as the word implies, it's process automation around paper pulp, around steel mills or mining or those kinds of activities, and both software and then aspects of motion to move products through, those types of systems. And then we have our discrete automation and motion business, which is basically drives and motors and robots and just basic aspects or tools of automation. And then lastly, in the case of this, and most importantly, is the low voltage products, which are basically control products that are used at a lower voltage in construction market, utility, and industry in those places. And then ABB also is very geographically dispersed, an incredibly international business in the sense of the way we're partitioned around the world between the Middle East, the Far East, and Europe and the United States, and extremely international in that sense.
And how would you describe the culture of ABB?
Well, I would describe the culture of ABB as an engineering culture, first of all. It's very systematic in the sense of how it goes about things. It believes the best product really wins, and we invest and we think that way. When you look at customer results, what customers really give us high marks on are things like understanding exactly how a product works or how an industry works in some way, having the right technical advice and the right technical understanding. On the contrast of that, Malcolm, where we really get poor marks is being customer sensitive. Reacting urgently to customer issues and those kinds of things. And I think that's where obviously our Net Promoter Score that we use to judge quality we introduced last year has pointed those things out. I think we're making major steps to address that. As we look at Thomas & Betts, I think we'll find out about Thomas & Betts is they're a little different than us. I think they're much more market oriented in what we have and having really strong service in that sense. So I think our 2 cultures will help to reinforce each other and make both companies better.
You've highlighted the technical strengths of ABB. Are there any other strengths that you want to highlight about our company?
I think the strength of the company also, too, is its really belief in the future and willing to invest for the future also. And so when you look at the cycles that ABB has been through over the years, the resilience of this company, the belief in the long term, the willingness of the investor base and the board to continue to invest in new products and acquiring companies, like in this case Thomas & Betts, to build a broader portfolio, a true belief of not just the external shareholders of the company, but the employees too in the business itself. It's really refreshing because in a lot of cases, people put this business first, which is a really healthy aspect of our culture, and I think it goes well in the sense of guaranteeing the future performance and viability of ABB.
How will Thomas & Betts benefit from teaming up with ABB?
Well, I think first of all they'll benefit because on the obvious area, Malcolm, on the product itself in the United States is we can give them a controlled product platform. It'll take us a while to be able to specify some of these products to make sure they meet the NEMA standards and the ANSI standards in the United States, but we'll certainly do that quickly, and so there'll be a broader portfolio in that sense. The logistics capability of Thomas & Betts is terrific also. We haven't had strong logistics, so our current low voltage business in the United States will benefit incredibly by having a strong logistics capability to be able to service customers the way they need to be serviced in the US. I think Thomas & Betts will really benefit when you look outside of North America. And you look at our European operations, our Middle East, and our Far Eastern operations in both India and China and Southeast Asia, as you know, is very strong with ABB and it's relatively weak and under scale at Thomas & Betts. And so we'll be able to bring their products into those marketplaces through channels that really would be very difficult for a company of Thomas & Betts' size to do internationally in that sense. And also, holistically, I think it offers career opportunities that will be much broader across both companies because we come together in that sense. So there's really terrific benefits for both the Thomas & Betts employees and the ABB employees too.
What are your plans for Thomas & Betts?
Well, obviously, Malcolm, as we move through closing, we have a synergy plan that we'll have to put into place. But our commitment is to make sure that we study Thomas & Betts and we really get to know each other's organizations very closely so that we can really, truly understand where we can add and subtract, actually add value and synergy, and where it might be harmful in some way, to not to do that. And so our commitment to the people of Thomas & Betts is just not to run in and integrate for integration's sake, is to truly understand what the value proposition is on both ends of the equations, and then to cautiously implement these kinds of synergistic opportunities that make sense for both companies, and will just strengthen both companies too.
Thanks very much for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome.